make sure that you're being congruent with your brand. If everyone knows you as a gym that takes high level athletes, that's going to be challenging to now start attracting 80-year-olds invalids that want to get off the couch. And I'm not saying it can't be done, but choose adjacent markets that make the most sense.
Bringing you the biggest names and brightest minds in fitness to give you behind the scenes access and how they created some of the most profitable and sustainable businesses the industry's ever seen. Having deep conversations about the shit that most fitness entrepreneurs don't want to talk about but have to in order to create a business that'll thrive for years to come. Dropping the knowledge and tools necessary to help you follow in their footsteps and create an empire of your own. I'm Sebastiano Mangiafico. This is FitBiz Talk. Welcome back to the show. This is episode 3 of FitBiz Talk, and today we have Aaron Hinde, the co-founder of LifeAid. They're also the creators of GolferAid, FitAid, FocusAid, PartyAid, ImmunityAid. By the time the show is done, they will probably have another aid out there. These guys are amazing at what they do. And Aaron talks a lot about competing in the beverage market. A lot of companies, when they jump into retail, the first thing they do is fight for shelving space. This is not the approach these guys took. CrossFit was booming at the time. They infiltrated the CrossFit market, really scaled their business, and now they're in big box stores like Walmart. He also speaks greatly on his hiring approach. At LifeAid, they really have this employee-first atmosphere, and they really know that if they focus on their employees, it only trickles down and creates even better experiences for their customers. Most importantly, Aaron talks about cashing in on the ATM. No, it's not what you're thinking. The man has created his own acronym, and it really speaks wonders into how they've created a business that will last for years to come. So enjoy the show. Later on, we got a special code for you to save some money on your next order from LifeAid. Here's Aaron Hinde. Oh, Aaron, how's it going?
Sebastiano, good to be here.
You're out of Santa Cruz.
Yeah, the birthplace of CrossFit and many other things here.
Oh, so you're definitely in the right place to be.
Yeah.
So diving right in, talking a little bit about LifeAid, can you kind of talk about how you jumped into that business and where you came from?
Yeah, I've been a lifelong entrepreneur, going back to elementary school and through college. And I actually was a solopreneur for 10 years, was probably my most significant gig. I was a sports chiropractor here in Santa Cruz. That's what got me into CrossFit to start with. I started treating some of the people from CrossFit HQ and some of the athletes that were coming by. And I had a great run at that for 10 years. Then we had, my business partner and I had this crazy idea to start a beverage company, and we perceived some traction there. So we both sold our professional practices and pushed the chips all in.
And, transferring over from that chiropractic practice, did you find a lot of similarities or experience that you used that transferred over into creating LifeAid?
Tons. Absolutely. I think everything happens for a reason, and we're all, exactly where we need to be in life right now, not necessarily where we want to be, but where we need to be. And, part of that journey was, 10 years as a solopreneur and really running a referral-based practice. And running a referral-based practice means that you have raving fans out there that are telling all their friends and family about you and referring them into your business. So a lot of what I learned from that translated very well to a larger scale here at LifeAid.
From the get-go of the business, one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs tend to forget about because they kind of want to get the wheels rolling, start making money, is putting a business plan together. It's kind of the afterthought and, hey, I'll get to it eventually. I really want to just, get going here. Did you and your partner put together a business plan?
Yeah, we did. I couldn't even tell you what it said. I'm sure we didn't stick to it at all. They're basically worthless. You need to have some type of a plan, a formal business plan you kind of take with a grain of salt, because it's kind of like, the Mike Tyson quote, when you get punched in the face, everything kind of changes. So, we had one. It was the first business I've ever actually had a business plan for, but I couldn't tell you much about it back then. We did have a vision for, vitamins you'll actually enjoy drinking, and, very clean, niche nutritional products. And so that vision was there from day one. How we executed on that vision, I think, changes significantly with experience and time.
Okay. And partnership agreements, is that something that you and your partner kind of went in on the get-go? Most businesses start with a friend, start with a family member, and it's almost has a bad rap, like a prenup. Like, hey, we're going to be fine forever, and we're never going to argue with each other, so let's not even worry about it. I mean, is that something that you guys did?
Yeah, that's a great question, because unlike a business plan, having a partnership agreement, having tight operating agreement, having the legal structure of the entity you're forming, that should be very tight from the get-go. So don't go to a local yokel attorney, generalist attorney who specializes in trademark law and partnership agreements and this and that. I mean, we got burned and spent a lot of money on all that kind of garbage. So we finally found a law firm that specializes in business law and has specialist attorneys, and got our corporate documents really tight from the get-go, which is very important because, things happen. I mean, you don't know, you can get hit by a bus, like what happens to your ownership and the responsibilities of the company. And not only that, we have an obligation to, our stakeholders, our shareholders, that, there's a good progression plan if something was to happen to the principals.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a big point, which is why we're bringing on someone who's a fitness lawyer who kind of really focuses just on the fitness side. So not only how to set up your company the correct way, but also dealing with, waivers and kind of every aspect of creating a fitness business, because obviously there's a lot of nuances to that business that is different than starting any other type of business. So early on, what type of struggles did you face getting into this huge beverage industry? Was there a lot of situations where you thought about quitting? Was the partnership kind of a rough? You guys were on the same page, right from the beginning?
No. I mean, we were on the same page in a lot of aspects. I mean, there were so many challenges. I mean, the biggest were financial challenges. We almost went out of business at least a dozen times. So those were always there and continued to be tough points when you had payroll due. If we only had maybe 2 or 3 employees, but if you had a few $1,000s in payroll due and you had $1,000 in the bank, you're sweating pretty hard as payday comes along. I'd say from a partnership perspective, some of the big challenges were, Orion and I were involved in every aspect of the business together from day one, from, choosing the niche markets to formulation to, accounting, fundraising, to taking out the trash, right?
Yeah.
We were doing everything together, and that's not scalable. And so a really challenge for us was when we had to have a sit down and have the tough conversation around kind of not splitting up the business in its entirety, but having ultimate authority over different aspects of the business around our personal unique ability. And it's so difficult to let go sometimes, because you're like, well, I want to be in on the fundraising pitches. I want to communicate with our investors. I want to do this. I want to do that because I've always done that. I felt like if I'm not involved in that, or he's not involved in other aspects, like somehow we're worth less.
Or you're missing out on what's really going on.
We're missing out. We're not worth what we used to be. But now looking back on it, thank God we did that. It's not scalable. I have no business being in the accounting side of things or logistics or operations. I hate that shit. Yeah. I absolutely hate it, and I'm not good at it, So for that to be taken off of my plate was a huge relief, and it really helped me focus on my unique abilities, helped him focus on, what he's really good at, and we were both able to, we're able to flourish and scale in that environment.
Yeah. So how did you, and that's kind of splitting the roles with Orion, but as this, whole business scaled and you had to start hiring people, what type of different struggles did you see there with, Orion and I are on the same page, we're partners. Now we're kind of bringing in these outside people. How do we ingrain the vision of what we want LifeAid to be in them so they can kind of follow the same vision that Orion and I had?
Yeah, good question. I mean, look, finding qualified people is not a difficult thing. I mean, virtually any skill set I think can be taught, right? Correct. Like I don't put a huge emphasis. I've got 9 years of post-high school education, 9. I do not put large emphasis on college and college education and math, 4-year, 6-year degree. I don't care. Okay. Yeah. What I care about is that they have fire in the belly, that they're quick learner. And the more important thing for me when I'm looking at top graders and resumes and going through who are we going to give in-person interviews to, and when they get to the in-person interview, is really the cultural fit, right? is the vision aligned with the company? Do they practice our core values? Do they buy into that? Some of our core value, our big vision is, to get our youth off of these high sugar, high caffeine, artificially laden, quote unquote sports and energy drinks. The big beverage companies for over 100 years have gotten a free pass by poisoning our kids with 40, 60, 70 grams of sugar. And now you have, the popularity of these pre-workouts, putting 300 milligrams of caffeine, overstimulating kids, sending them to the ER with heart palpitations, using sucralose, and almost all the pre-workouts have sucralose in them, which is more related to DDT than it is to actual sugar. We know that it destroys the gut biome. I mean, just look at the studies around it. So, we have a moral obligation to get people off of all that garbage, and our team is very aligned around that obligation. We know that the more cans that we sell, the more people are getting off of, those pre-workouts, off the energy drinks, off the quote unquote sports drinks. Is just sugar water, that has artificial coloring in it. So, we're very aligned in that mission. And then there's lots of components to that. Part of our core values is, do more with less. We love to, work hard and play hard. Look, we have FitAid, but we also have PartyAid.
Yeah.
And so basically bringing people on the team that have a broad range of diversity. We have multiple countries that work here. We have, our youngest is 21, our oldest is 65. We've got, people from all types of backgrounds. It's not creating a homogenous team. It's creating a diverse team that is very respectful of one another, aligned around our vision, and is really having a good time. Living the dream, as LTD, as we say around here, we're living the dream, we're executing on the dream, and there is no separation between, quote unquote, work life and home life, right? It's just life.
Yeah, everything's just life.
Yeah, you have a shitty day at work, it's going to affect you at home. You get in a fight with your spouse, it's going to affect you at work. So recognizing that it's just life. It's just life, and we're all living it, and we need to enjoy it, because there is no, future end of the rainbow where, everything just gets easy and we get to kick back on a beach and drink Coronas. I mean, every time I'm on a beach drinking a Corona, I get up in 10 minutes and I'm restless. I'm like, all right, I got to do something.
Yeah.
Like, that perception we have of, this future version that just everything is just, cupcakes and rainbows is not accurate. So we need to enjoy life now, because we don't know how long it's going to last. So, we ingrain that in our team. I mean, like today, it's first Friday of the month, we have happy hour. So we're going to have a big party tonight. And
nice.
Drink some tequila and have a good time.
I definitely think that's the way that a lot of businesses are hiring now is, anything can be taught, any system can be taught. But if you really get people who kind of follow the same vision, anyone can be any type of employee, so long they're really willing to put in the hard work and willing to buy into what the business is truly trying to do.
And that's key for success for anything, right? Put in the hard work and keep focused. Keep focused. Like, we love to play the long game. We love to keep moving forward around here. Like, there's just certain themes of success. I think if you look at any industry of anybody that's, had some degrees of success, whether that's in, entrepreneurial, whether that's, big corporations, that's solopreneurs, that's nonprofits, that's religious leaders, there's certain themes that continue to come through, and it's hard work. It's playing the long game. It's continually moving forward. It's how you deal with setbacks. It's a lot of mindset stuff, and it's a lot of putting in the work.
And do you find that difficult, the more employees that you hire? I mean, how many employees are you at now? 71. And are you projected to hire a lot more this year through the end of the year?
We just onboarded another 10 people recently. So I think we've got 3 or 4 more spots we're going to fill this year. Right around 75. We should be good there, and then we'll continue to add to the sales team. I think at scale, we'll be right around 150.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And does it get more difficult? Look, it gets more challenging just because there's more bodies, but Orion and I are still involved in every single interview, every single hire. I think that's one of our most important jobs, right?
Yeah.
Is to make sure that we're hiring the right people and preserving the culture. And if we make a mistake, which doesn't happen often, but occasionally, making sure we get rid of that person quickly, because one drop of poison in the well can really, poison the whole culture. So you can't have tolerance for people that, are petty or gossiping or stabbing people in the back or aren't bringing their A game or, are just not exhibiting the core values that we hold very near and dear here.
Yeah, and that's definitely probably one of the most important things in terms of running your business is kind of making sure your employees are taken care of first. Because if your employees are taken care of, then they're definitely doing the job of making sure your customers are well taken care of.
We're real big on the, ATM acronym, I call it the ATM of life, just like we go to the ATM machine to get out money. I think life will continually be an ATM for us in every aspect if we practice, A standing for alignment, T trajectory, M momentum, but alignment, it's all about alignment with me and my business partner, alignment with my spouse, alignment with our team, alignment with our consumers. You have to have that alignment. And misalignment creates friction, and friction creates stress and animosity, and that leads to blowouts and fights and lawsuits and people getting upset and quitting and all kinds of issues. So making sure that you can stay in alignment is so important. As a sports chiropractor for 10 years, I was trained in physical alignment, motion and alignment, and so it translates very well both physically and mentally.
Now, do you think there's some level of alignment or friction that kind of does add value, kind of pushing people beyond what they're capable of, or kind of, friction or having disagreements with some people could bring, more added value and, a benefit?
Yeah, I think it depends on your perspective. That's a great question, great way to look at it. So I'd say the answer is yes, you're accurate there, but what is the intent of the friction disagreement? Because I wouldn't call it misalignment. If the intent is what is ultimately best for our consumers, our customers, our company, then you're still in alignment, right? Because we're both coming from it from that perspective. And that happens all the time. I mean, we have disagreements. We have, sometimes we have straight out yelling matches. It happens less and less now than it did in the early days. But sometimes we have a blowout. But it's not coming from a place of ego. It's coming from a place of, I truly believe this is the best direction for, our team, our company, and our customers, and someone else truly believes the same thing. And then once we come to an agreement, a consensus, like, okay, this is the direction we're going, everybody gets in alignment behind that.
Okay. Yeah, totally makes sense. So once you're in alignment, now do you particularly think this ATM kind of happens in order, or do they all happen at once, of going from alignment to trajectory, or do you kind of focus on all of them at one time?
No, they have to happen in order. You have to be in alignment. Without alignment, you can't get on a positive trajectory, right? It's impossible. Correct. Because you got people going every which direction based on their ego and what they think, is best for them typically. So you have to have alignment first, then focus on trajectory. This is one thing I really work with, especially our younger team members on, because a lot of times it's all about momentum. They live in they live in a velocity world, right? Everything is quick.
I want it and I want it now.
Yeah, I want it and I want it now. And you got to realize, things take time, and that's okay. Continue to do the right things over time, and good things will happen, right? Like if I'm a gym owner, I'm continually providing a wow experience. I'm treating people how they want to be treated on an individual place. I'm charging fair prices for my services. I'm over delivering constantly. I'm creating that community environment, right? I'm only hiring the best coaches. I'm paying attention to form. I'm paying attention to injuries and modifying when necessary. Like if I was that customer coming into that gym, I'm treating people exactly how I would want to be treated. Okay, we all know. We go to a restaurant, we go to a shopping mall, whatever. You either walk away. Those employees that experience have either made emotional deposits into our bank account or withdrawals.
Correct.
Right? We've all had withdrawals. I've changed banks. I've stopped shopping places. I've stopped going to certain restaurants because the withdrawals were too great. I've also had withdrawals, but the emotional deposits were so great previously that it's been like, okay, no big deal. They screwed up here, but I have a long history of them going above and beyond with me, and it's okay to have those occasional withdrawals. So, maintaining that positive balance is huge. And I think, all gym owners out there need to go, okay, where are we at with the emotional bank accounts of every single one of our members? And what can we do to make more and more and more deposits? Because when the bank account gets fat enough, that's when the referrals start rolling in. And I'll tell you what, for 10 years straight, 10 years as a solopreneur sports chiropractor, I had 30 new patients every single month by referral.
Wow.
How many gym owners out there wouldn't love to have 30 new members every month by referral? I mean, it's the best way to practice.
And that's kind of keeping that momentum going.
That's the momentum. Yeah, exactly. So what created the momentum? All the little things. After someone's first adjustment, I would personally call them and say, hey, you had your first adjustment today. I just wanted to check on how you're doing. It's okay if you're a little sore. We did some deep muscle work. Make sure you're doing some icing and the stretching I gave you. Drink plenty of water. They love that call. I send a handwritten thank you note to whoever referred them in, thanking them for the referral. I usually would give them, like a $20 gift card to Starbucks or something. I had testimonials all over the wall. When a new patient first came into the office, I know what are people freaked out about when they go see a chiropractor? They're going to crack me, or once I start going, I'm going to have to go forever. People going into a gym, specifically a CrossFit gym, have the exact same fears.
Yeah, they're going to get injured.
I'm going to get injured. I already have to be in shape to even show up here. If I'm a woman, I'm going to get too bulky, right? Like if you're not taking care of those concerns right off the bat, you're missing the boat majorly. So instead of having someone come in and immediately fill out a bunch of technical paperwork, I have my staff come around, shake their hand, call them Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, offer them an ice cold water, give them a tour of the office where they're going to run into 5 other patients all like, oh, you're new here. Oh, you're going to love it. Dr. Hines, great, blah, blah, blah. Calm their nerves. I give them a pamphlet, 10 things you must know before starting chiropractic care, that directly address the fears that I know they already have before they come in to see me. Why aren't CrossFit gyms handing you a brochure saying 5 things you must know before starting CrossFit?
Yeah.
I have to be in shape before I start. Untrue. I'm going to get too bulky if I'm a woman. This is just basic stuff. I've been talking about this. This was almost 20 years ago now. I was doing this stuff. I still have not seen it really infiltrate, the CrossFit ethos as part of the norm. And I think if you want to have a viable, thriving gym that's based on referrals, it's all about doing those little things. Those little things not only aid in your overall trajectory, but they create momentum, and momentum begets momentum.
Yeah, and I kind of noticed that when I first started CrossFit. I think I went to 2 other gyms before I finally settled. And the first 2 were more like, you signed up, all right, class starts this day at this time, show up, and you kind of just jump in, as opposed to, the one I finally settled on took a more personal approach. And they wouldn't just throw you in a class right away. There was more of a consultation. There was more of kind of understanding what your needs and goals are, which really made you feel like, it definitely gave you a personalized approach and really made you understand what you're getting yourself into.
Absolutely. And why is that personalized approach so powerful? Because we're all people. We all want a personalized approach. I always tell people, to put it in a marketing context, if there was a billboard and I'm driving down the I-5 and it said, are you in your mid-40s, an ex-chiropractor, a father of 2 children that's now an entrepreneur in the beverage space? Call this number or go to this domain. I'm like, oh my God, that is me. I got a call, right? It's called. So the more personalized you can make the message, the more you're going to attract that type of individual. So here's another lesson. I think a lot of gym owners, or any professional, especially as you start out, you try to be everything to everybody. You're casting a wide net. Why? Because you're in scarcity mode. Because I need more clients, I need more patients, I got to pay the bills, I got to keep the light on. So you're accepting everybody. And that is the exact opposite of what you should be doing. You should be hyper-focused on attracting exactly the type of client that you want to attract, and at the same time repelling the type of client that you need to repel. For me, in chiropractic, I needed to repel postmenopausal women that were 100 pounds overweight, divorcee on 10 medications. That type of person would not do well with me.
Yeah.
Who I attracted, health conscious athletes, family people, played high school, college sports, even professionals, sports injuries, get in there, get it done as quickly as possible, and I'll see you next time I get hurt. Those are the people that I attract, and those are the people I attracted by the thousands.
Yeah. So how do you, let's say you're a new entrepreneur and you're opening up a gym, obviously your goal is, I got to make this thing work. I got to start making money. So how do you settle the nerves for someone just getting into the business on, just don't take every single person that walks through that door? What kind of settling advice do you give them?
Well, I would say this you're going to eliminate a lot of suffering by taking my advice. And sometimes people need to suffer. Sometimes you need to suffer, but you'll eliminate a lot of suffering. And two, some of my best referrers at my office were patients that I never saw.
Really?
Patients that the postman at Wapa's woman that came in, and in 5 minutes I identified they weren't the right fit. I said, look, this is my practice style. I do not believe it's the right fit for you for these reasons, but there is a female chiropractor that does activator method right down the street who is going to be perfect for you. She referred me like 15 people.
Jeez.
Because she's like, oh my God, it was so great. I went in and so.
And it's still being personalized to her, even though she's not a patient of yours.
Exactly. So have faith. You're going to attract who you're going to attract, repel who you need to repel, and just look at your own, anything in life, look at your own preferences, look at your own friend group. Like, you're attracting certain people, you're repelling certain people. Like, you're not going to be friends with somebody who you think's a total asshole who treats you like shit, but you're going to do that in your business.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't make sense. So, have faith in that process. And what happens is like minds beget like minds. So you start getting in like these really kick-ass A-tier people that are just the type of people that fit well with your training style and your philosophy and your environment and your setup and your gym. And then guess what? All of their friends and family are the same type of people they are.
Yeah.
And it attracts more and more and more of those type of people. And then all of a sudden you've got a flourishing, thriving gym that's filled with kick-ass people that like, and trust, and they know, like, and trust you.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. So kind of shifting, back to LifeAid, now that we've got that great conversation going, jumping into this market, I guess now's kind of been branded the functional beverage market. Your approach to this was a lot different than what most people do when they make a beverage. Is, hey, I need to go get on the shelf, at my local grocery store and my convenience store. But you guys kind of infiltrated the market a different way and hit it at the right time with CrossFit. Can you talk a little bit about that strategy that you guys took?
Yeah, I mean, look, Orion and I met in a CrossFit gym, CrossFit North Santa Cruz, in Scotts Valley, Santa Cruz County. We enjoyed golfing when we had free time once a week together. We both go to Burning Man. He's an accomplished DJ. So we knew we wanted very clean products. We knew that there was so much bullshit on the market. But we also thought, everyone is playing this flavor game. You come out with an energy drink, which is, caffeine, taurine, B vitamins, and then a bunch of sugar or artificial ingredients. And then you have, 10, 20 different flavors of that same base. And we just thought that was a flawed approach. Like, nutrition is specific for the individual. So why not create this more customized nutrition approach? So, we decided to focus on function over just, flavor variations. Yeah. And a lot of that was timing. I mean, we launched, we had this idea for LifeAid. Our first actual concept was PartyAid because we thought of it when we were at a festival. But then we were like, if we do PartyAid, we cross it, let's do FitAid, and we do GolferAid. We even got BonerAid.com for $12, which is, we still own.
You still own. You never know, right?
Yeah, you never know. So, PartyAid was the first concept. GolferAid was actually the first product. Most people don't know that, but we sold exclusively in golf courses for the first 12 months. We got up to like 450 golf courses, and there's a lot of challenges in golf. It was a major declining industry at the time. Too many decision makers, or not any real decision maker.
Yeah.
They pay late. Like, there's a lot of issues with that market. And then we started FitAid in CrossFit, and we just saw the trajectory of that business. Even though it wasn't generating a ton of revenue, the traction was there, there was one decision maker, the volume was better, et cetera, et cetera. And so because we had very limited resources in both human and financial capital, we had to make a very tough decision. One of my mentors said, look, the biggest challenge that you guys have right now is you're spread too thin. You need to choose a single target market. It kind of comes back to that whole, CrossFit gyms specifically attracting or focusing on a certain type of client, like choose a single target market. And we looked at the business, go, we need to go all in with FitAid, and specifically FitAid with CrossFit. And that's when we only focused on that for, starting in probably 2012 all the way to 2016. I mean, that was our sole focus.
And do you attribute also each and every one of your products, there's only one flavor, and there
Correct.
really isn't all these choices for people. So it really doesn't give people the option to, hey, I don't like this version of FitAid, I want to try this flavor. I mean, it kind of, if they're just looking for the straight function of the drink, they really won't find an issue with the actual taste of it, because it does taste good. They just don't have other options to choose.
True. I mean, we've deviated a little bit from that now with, FitAid, because we have FitAid RX, which is or FitAid plus creatine, which has a different flavor profile. It is a different product, but it's FitAid plus creatine. And now we have our two FitAid Zero lines, which is the exact same formula with, zero sugar. We're using monk fruit and stevia, so both very clean, natural sweeteners. But you can't get the flavor exactly the same because you're using, a different sweetener base, zero sugar sweetener base. So
instead of organic blue agave nectar, I think it is.
Yeah, we use raw organic agave and stevia on the low-cal versions.
Okay, nice. So getting into this functional beverage market, which I believe this year is close to $100 billion, and kind of asking the question from, it's kind of like a Elon Musk type of question. Do you consider other functional beverages, let's say, that have the same vision as you as your competitors, or do you see these big sugary drink companies like Coca-Cola as your main competitors? Because a lot of people kind of make the assumption, hey, another electric car company comes on the market, oh, they're going to take Tesla under. But Elon Musk's view on that is, I really don't care about other electric vehicles. I'm worried about getting rid of gasoline. So who do you consider your competitors?
Yeah, great question. And I think each of our products has a competitive landscape because they're function-based. You might look at an ImmunityAid and go, okay, well, really, there's no drink competitor, but emergency, the packets might be the primary competitor there, type of thing. So Each of the products has quote-unquote competitors. But really, our vision, the competitive landscape is to create greater accountability and create different habits, okay? I get more disgusted now by a 12-year-old drinking a big gulp from 7-Eleven, I know has 70 grams of sugar in it, than I do by an adult smoking. I mean, it's just like, I think that where we're going as a nation, we've gotten so fat and so out of shape and so unaccountable around our diet. And part of it is we've been lied to. I mean, the big food companies demonized fats for, the last 60 years, right? Manipulating research. I mean, it's all out there now, demonizing healthy fats and yet pumping things full of sugar. So now, the information's out there and we're seeing a change in the landscape. So for the first time in history, carbonated soft drinks, the big soft drink companies, those sales are going down, as well as diets are going down because people know aspartame and sucralose are poison, right? So we are part of that movement of changing people's expectations around what they put in the body, and we're very proud of that.
So how do you address obesity rates going up then? I mean, what do you think what type of attack do you put on that? I mean, is it more diet, or is it more just there's still these big companies that are pushing money into kind of false claims?
Well, I live in California. The coasts are always skewed, right? Because we've got, more people on the health and wellness bandwagon. Like, it trips us out because we always comment. We're out at a restaurant and you look around. It's not uncommon to not see one soda on any table in the restaurant. Like, it's the norm now. People drinking wine, people drink water, but there's no sodas anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, obesity rates continue to climb, but I believe at some point, and I think we're really close to that tipping point, they're coming back the other direction. Because I see some of our biggest sales are now in like the Midwest and in Texas and in traditionally very obese states, because people are going into their physician and they're like, and their doc's like, look, you need to lose 100 pounds. You can do it one of two ways. We're either going to put you on this whole suite of medications from high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes. You're going to be insulin dependent, or you could get your fat ass off the couch, get off of your soda diet, and get into a gym, right? Like, it's one or the other. And more people are realizing, like, well, shit, Uncle Tommy went the medication route and he died at 50. Like, I'm 46. I don't want to die at 50. So let me try the more sensible route. And, that's one thing I think CrossFit has done very well. There's no more effective training paradigm that's out there other than joining the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
That's going to get you in shape in a shorter amount of time, right? But we all know the gym is essential, but let's be quite frank, it's 25% of the scenario. Like 75% is what people are putting in their body.
Yeah, if you're not eating right, it doesn't matter how many times you go to the gym.
You got to eat right. Yeah. I'd say the only exception to that is like the elite athletes who are burning so many calories when they're working out 6 hours a day. Yeah.
And I kind of get that sense, that coming from the West Coast, I'm in Florida, but you guys are the trailblazers out there that kind of set the path. That, unfortunately for me, being on the East Coast, it takes a while for it to get over here. So, I feel like I've noticed a transition across the country of eating healthier. Go to California, it's definitely everybody's on board there. You're starting to see it. I was at Austin, Texas for Paleo Effects, and there's a lot more restaurants popping up that are organic, gluten-free, and I get back to Florida and it is not here yet. Definitely, hopefully it makes its way over here soon. It will. When I lived in Pennsylvania, I noticed there was, about a 5 to 6 year lag on the trends. So we're there. It's happening. It takes a little bit more time to work its way over, but it's happening. And, I think that accountability, part of it is just social norms, right? We know that social norms are driving people's behavior much more than anything else. So what are the social norms? What are the expectations? Like, when everyone starts giving you the stink eye and like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that. When your kid is walking around with a big gulp, just like they would if you had a son or daughter, like, and you're with them and they're puffing on a cigarette, like that just doesn't happen anymore, right? When everyone starts those social norms change, then you're going to see much more rapid change. We're already seeing it though. I mean, we're seeing like the success of Beyond Meat. We're seeing chains popping up that only serve salad, like Chopped, I mean, like, and they're thriving. So it's happening. We just need, more and more people to continue to get on the bandwagon, which is happening. That's why CrossFit has been successful. People have decided to make, a lifestyle change. And unfortunately with CrossFit, I think the lifestyle part of it is starting to swing the other way for whatever reason. When we first got into it, in the very earliest of days, it was all about paleo. Like, you could see someone that was a CrossFitter because of the way they dressed, the way they looked, the way they eat, the way they talked, right? And some of that culture is getting diluted. I mean, people are walking into the gym now with a bang. I'm like, really? Oh, this new bang thing, that is exploding.
300 milligrams of caffeine, sucralose, like full garbage product, totally garbage, right? But that's kind of that's okay now. Or so I don't know, I think, the community is kind of, it's in a big transition right now for a lot of reasons, a lot of things going on in the community. I think at the top level, CrossFit's really, they're going through a paradigm shift right now. I think it'll take a few years before people really buy into the change they're making. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and talking of stuff coming out east, it's funny. I have family who lives in the Foster City area there in the Bay Area, and I always used to see my cousin wearing fanny packs. And I was like, man, people with fanny packs, like that's a lot. And going to Paleo Effects, like it's made its way to Texas. I'm hanging around with like some of the On It guys there. And I came back from Texas and I told my wife, like, I'm thinking of buying a fanny pack. And being in the Orlando area, the only people you see with fanny packs are like the South American people who are going to Disney World, going to Universal wearing fanny packs. But I'm like, I think we could set it here. We could be the ones that bring fanny packs back to the East. Well, check out if you're a subscriber to Gains Box, the July Gains Box may have a pretty dope fanny pack in it. Pretty nice fanny pack. Nice. I might have to look into that. Yeah. So you briefly mentioned mentors. Along the way, did you have a number of mentors that helped you, not only, let's say, to handle the business side, but, there's obviously, in starting a business, you kind of strain your personal life and,
did you have mentors that helped you with business and also kind of helped you on the personal side?
100%. Mentors saved my life. I mean, we wouldn't be here as a company without mentors. I wouldn't still be married without mentors. Like, essential. If you want to leapfrog, mentors are one of the best ways to do so. Mentors and also masterminds, I think, have been right there with mentors.
So what do you think is the best way for someone who's looking for a mentor? Is it just a cold call? Is it, what's the best way to find someone who can mentor you?
I approach it the same way as I do a potential new client, where I'm going after, like, how can I provide value to this person first? Okay. So, I mean, the last thing people need is like, hey, will you be my mentor? Right. I mean, that's just like, oh God, that just sounds like a lot of work and responsibility.
Yeah.
But if I'm coming at it like, hey, how can I provide value to this person? And in doing so, then I get to engage in a conversation with them, and whether that's digitally or in person or over the phone, and then letting that relationship develop, right? So, some of my mentors, I just paid them. Some of my mentors, I just paid them to start out. One of my, very good friends and early mentor of mine, I was a client of his as a chiropractor for 10 years, so I was paying him $500 a month for 10 years. Well, that created some reciprocity on my side. Another mentor, was my priest. Well, I would tithe. That was kind of a way of paying them as well. My father, business mentors. It come at it with like, how can I provide value in this person's life and let a relationship develop organically? And it does. Sometimes you don't even have a relationship with a mentor. Sometimes mentors are arm's length. Like, I would say Richard Branson is one of my mentors. I've heard him speak live a couple times now. I haven't had one-on-one time with him yet. I've had the opportunity to do so. I just haven't paid for it. But I'd say he's one of my mentors just in how he approaches life, and his brand and how many businesses he's affected, and his very simple approach to business. Take a stodgy, industry that's been around forever that everyone uses and needs, but the experience sucks, and make it a wow experience. It's a very simple model that he has. It's very effective. Whereas an Elon Musk, I consider Elon a mentor just from the balls that this guy has to push his chips all in multiple times, all in, when he's already a made man. He didn't have to do shit. He could be, kick back on the island for the rest of his life. And he puts all of his entire net worth in the middle of the table. And not only that, borrowing money from his in-laws and pushing that in as well. Like, when you're already a made man, I mean, you either got to be completely a whack job or just have nuts of steel to do something like that.
I think it's a little bit of both.
A little both, yeah, probably.
Going into what's next for LifeAid. So you've recently released FitAid Zero, you've released RX. It seems like those have been well received by the market because there's this big movement towards, stevia and erythritol. So have those been well received since their release?
Yeah, we released FitAid Zero, and it's monk fruit and stevia, and it was our biggest launch to date by double. So
Wow.
It's been huge. We're attracting a lot of females in, a lot of people that are counting macros, a lot of keto people, a ton of bodybuilders. We're getting a lot of bodybuilders now.
Wow.
It's been awesome. And I wouldn't be surprised if in 2020 you see, an entire zero sugar line next to our low-cal line.
Nice. And, those were just released. So are you already the next step ahead in terms of the vision and the strategy? I mean, do you already have other products in the pipeline under R&D that you're planning on releasing, whether this year or next year? Like, how far out are you looking at in terms of, here's the products we want to release? Yeah,
we've got products for the next couple of years. And, we're looking at niche underserved markets that we can provide, a value proposition that's not currently being addressed in the marketplace. So we've got some really exciting products that I get a little giddy about when I'm down in the lab and working on them. And,
don't want to wait for them.
I
can't wait to tell people about this.
Yeah, exactly.
So failed products. I know you've had at least one failed product. I knew about the pouch, right?
Yeah. We discoed it. And look, when I say failed, I mean, the pouch still did cut $2 million a year. So it's not that it didn't sell or, it didn't make a little bit of money. But I think coming back to attracting who you're going to attract, that beginning conversation, choosing a single target market. We know beverages really, really well, right? Really well. We do them well. We know them well. We know how the economics work. We know that business. The pouch was a food product. It was like out of our wheelhouse, number one. So the margins are different. The yields are different on co-packing. Not only that, hopefully some people can take something from this, because I think I personally made a very strategic error in marketing this. When you ask anybody out there that knows our products, what is FitAid? What are they going to say?
That provides performance recovery for me. And it's kind of buying into the brand also. I mean, you're just, you go in, you know what you're going to buy. I want a FitAid. You're buying into not only what it provides me, but you're also buying into the brand and supporting, what you truly believe in, the mission that you guys have.
Yeah, no, I totally appreciate that. But I think you nailed it. It's a recovery drink, right? Like you ask anyone that consumes our product, oh yeah, it's a recovery drink, right? That's basically what FitAid is. Well, releasing the pouch and FitAid RX. What is FitAid RX? It's still a recovery drink, right? Yeah. Releasing the pouch under the FitAid name, the FitAid fuel pouch. The FitAid fuel pouch is not a recovery drink.
It's kind of sending mixed signals.
It's mixed signal, like okay, this is a recovery drink, but this is not a recovery drink. So if I think the pouch could be successful for us, even more so than it was, and it could be definitely in our wheelhouse in the future, but it shouldn't be a FitAid product. It should be its own standalone product, not under the FitAid name, not under LifeAid or PartyAid or ImmunityAid or any of the other ones. They all have a purpose, and they all are known for what they're known for, and the pouch wasn't congruent with that. So I think if you think about your own brand, if you're listening, make sure that you're being congruent with your brand. If everyone knows you as a gym that takes high level athletes, that's going to be challenging to now start attracting 80-year-olds invalids that want to get off the couch. And I'm not saying it can't be done, but choose adjacent markets that make the most sense to you.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I was about to make that comparison of talking about bringing in as many members as possible without finding that true niche of members that are going to help you thrive, but also realizing you had a successful product. I mean, you said it did $2 million a year, but you still kind of understood, hey, this isn't kind of the right path we want to take. It's kind of a little out of our wheelhouse. Though it is making money, our efforts elsewhere would go much more further than staying in this industry and just collecting a little $2 million on this. I mean, I say little, but in terms of the grand picture, it's kind of not the trajectory you're trying to take.
100%. And look, it was tough to kill that baby. I mean, I'll admit it, I was the most resistant to it. Fast forward a year now, it made sense, and I'm glad we did it, because you're right. Opportunity cost is what we need to pay attention to as entrepreneurs and business owners. What is the next best alternative that I could be putting my time and resources towards? Okay. Yeah. So just because something's making money doesn't mean it's a good idea, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So diving in a little bit into financials. So year over year, I know your sales increased last year 169%, correct?
Our traditional sales. So we kind of divide the business now between, our e-com, our online business, and our brick and mortar business. And online, I include direct to consumer and direct to gym. Okay. So that's a more mature business. It's still growing, but it's more mature. Amazon actually is really, taking off on a direct to consumer, because you've got so many Prime members out there. Yeah. But our brick and mortar business is growing, by triple digits plus. It's just it's insane.
Yeah, and I think I read Walmart alone tenfold this year. Is what new struggles and what new issues does that bring? Getting to Walmart now and going from a little over 400 stores to now you're getting to 4,000 this year. I mean, that obviously brings a whole new set of issues in and of itself.
Yeah, let me give anyone advice that wants to start a beverage company. if you want to actually make money, just stay out of retail.
Retail.
It's just so expensive to do right. Like the last thing you want to do is get in to a retailer and then not perform and get discontinued. Then it's a total disaster. So it's challenging and it takes a lot of resources. If we still stayed very niche and we were only focused on, the gym market and direct to consumer, we'd have a much smaller team. We'd continue to be profitable. And and we'd have a great business. We made a decision, a few years back to look. And part of it was coming back to that. What we feel is a moral obligation. If we stay niche, that's great. We're catering to a community that's already very aware of health and wellness by virtue of them being in the gym. But our bigger vision is to get that 70-ounce Big Gulp drinker off of that garbage and that Bang drinker and that energy drink and Gatorade drinker off of all those products and onto something much cleaner for them, which required more of a broader market penetration. And so we decided to take that step, which means we had to staff up significantly on the sales thing. Most people don't realize there were no salespeople at this company until 2000 and I think 16.
Oh wow!
Not one sales.
Well, there was just you and Orion, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, ramping up a sales team, and then, every retailer has its own requirements for how to activate and how to be successful in that retailer. And it's a lot of check writing. It's very capital expensive, both financial and people capital.
Yeah.
And so, the wider you go, the more expensive things get. So kind of coming back to that theme of going, deep and narrow and choosing that target market. And it's just much easier to thrive in that environment. Not to say that we're not thriving now. We're doing great, but we're going to, we have not been profitable since we made, that pivot, which is put more of an emphasis on outside capital and fundraising and finding the right capital partners to bring in and help execute on the grander vision.
So there was a point you were making a profit and then you kind of made that pivot, and it's obviously a hard decision to make because you could have stayed where you were, but you see the big picture. And how difficult of a transition was that?
It was challenging. Yeah, it was challenging.
Because you're obviously jumping into the unknown now. Like, hey,
it's exciting.
You're making money, and then it's like, well, we're going to make a decision now that's going to take us out of this. But, the plan is it's going to take us to a much grander place.
Right. If I was a gym owner, I would look at it like this. Like, you've got a thriving, successful gym. Maybe you open a second or third location. Those all do really well. The culture's tight. Like, how things are operating is tight, right? Like, everything continues to fire. And you go, you know what? We are thriving. We've got 350 members at each location. We're doing great work. We're getting a ton of referrals. Like, we really need to franchise this thing. We can... Like, I look at people in every gym I go to, they're not doing it to the level we can do it. And you feel that obligation to franchise out and make this thing, go from 3 gyms to 100 or 1,000 or 5,000.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that vision. That's a great vision to have. And especially when you can do it better than anyone else, that's a whole different game. You're playing a different game. Now, the nice thing about playing the game that we're at, I'm a gamer. I love the game. And we have up-leveled to such a degree, like I have the chance, if I wanted to write the check, to go sit down and hang out with Richard Branson. I've met Gary Vee. Anyone who's kind of anyone in the entrepreneurial crowd, I've either hung out with them, met them, they're friends of mine, or I, have the opportunity to. I couldn't have done that, staying as a chiro, a successful chiro, or, as a very small niche beverage player. So part of it is just that up-leveling the game and going, how can I continue to improve my skill set? How can I continue to add value to the world? How can we continue to pay living wages and grow our team and get people in alignment? Even when people leave the company, which doesn't happen very often, the skills they develop by working here are amazing. We just had a guy put it in his notice, young kid, he's been with us for a couple years, and he's like, you know what? Here's, and we've always been aligned in where his vision was for his career. And, we couldn't facilitate the ultimate goal for him. And I knew that. And so he's like, yeah, I applied at this company, and they're a unicorn, $2 billion company. And I actually applied to them when I first applied to you guys a couple of years ago, and they didn't even, give me an interview. I applied this time around, and the skills that I've developed here, like our training, being so customer centric, the books that everyone's mandated to read, the forward-looking vision statements, the company meetings, the OKRs and KPIs, and just how we operate this business is so valuable from a training perspective for the people that come out of here. Like they're so far ahead of the game compared to anyone else in the workplace. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's, a lot of companies just focus on their goals every year. Like they don't really focus on an employee's personal goals. They're only focused on what the employee is doing that can help the business. But a lot of employers just neglect to understand that, hey, if I can help this person, increase their own abilities as an individual, the gains that they would get on the business side are just unheard of. I think that's something that a lot of businesses struggle with.
It comes back to, there is no work life and personal life. It's just life. Right? So when we're setting quarterly OKRs, objectives and key results for all of our team and our business units and the company, every single person is required to, in addition to their 3, 4, 5 goals for the company and their business unit, is required to write down one quote unquote personal goal. And they're compensated and graded on their achievement of that personal individual goal, whether that's to, do 10 pull-ups or quit smoking or, to lose 20 pounds or learn to play the guitar or get up and perform on stage in front of a group of people. Like everyone has different OKRs, and I don't care what it is, as long as you're continuing to progress yourself, because the better human being you are, the better team member you are going to be for us, and it's going to help out our organization tremendously. I can't go anywhere without people going, hey, I interacted with your team here at this event or this or customer service, and it was awesome. I mean, we've got 1,000 Trustpilot reviews at a 9.5 out of 10 rating at 1,000 reviews. It's almost impossible to have that, Even Trustpilot themselves, the company that is the most respected review site in the world, has a 7.8 out of 10. And they're the company that has it. Yeah.
They should be coming to you guys for expecting what to do.
Exactly.
So in transitioning over to, dealing with the retail markets, what do profit margins look like in comparison to the direct-to-consumer?
They're thinner.
Much thinner, right? You're paying for space now, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that you have to pay a lot of times to be on the retail shelf. You have to actually pay for the right to be sold on the shelf, believe it or not. So you're writing them a big check before you ever get any check in return. So direct to consumers, always the best margin. And then when you're going, to traditional retail, the volume can be a lot greater, but the margin's tighter. So it's just business decisions. You see a lot of companies now thrive only in the digital online world, like Dollar Shave Club would be a great example, Mack Weldon, like in clothing. So you look at these companies, Rain and sunglasses, that are focusing only on e-com, and they're able to take that margin and create better and better products and not have to, pay the big dollars to be in the department stores.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. So to close this up, got 3 questions here, kind of quick rapid fire questions. You can answer in one word or we can elaborate a little bit. But what financial metric do you measure the success of your company? Or if it's not financial, then what is it?
Well, financial is easy. It's not my expertise, but being an owner of this company, I've had to really learn it. But we're looking at, top line revenue. We're looking at bottom line. We're looking at margin, okay, and we're looking at, do we have, are we profitable or not profitable, and if we're not, making sure that we have enough cash in the bank to carry those losses. So, just kind of looking at traditional P&L and balance sheets, and we have frequent meetings, just seeing where the financial health of the company is. So important that you pay attention to those metrics. Now, from a marketing side of things, I'm looking at things like lifetime value of our clients and customers, acquisition costs. Those are very important metrics as well from, running your business and the marketing. But if you do not know your numbers, you are walking blind into the wilderness. You must know your numbers. You must know that when you decide to go right instead of left, what effect does that have on the business, what measurable effect. So if you don't know your numbers out there, make that the number one priority. There's no way to know whether what you're doing is benefiting you or not if you do not know your numbers.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with in the fitness industry is they kind of come into these businesses more of a hobby, and understanding the business really never catches up, and they're just following their passion. So I think getting an understanding, and it's not as deep as most people think. I mean, you're not getting into full accounting, functionality. It's just kind of understanding an overall business really would go a long way for a lot of people that are currently in the fitness industry, and just to kind of make a sustainable business more than anything. Most of them just focus on, hey, I have some money in the bank to pay my bills this month, so I guess I'm okay, as opposed to really creating a business out of what they're doing.
Yeah, fortunately, my business partner was a certified financial planner, so he brought to the table something that I was, lacking in. And not that I didn't have any experience. I mean, I was an econ business major undergrad, and I ran my own practice for years, chiropractic practice. But he's just a lot better at that stuff than I am.
Yeah.
And so look for a partner. And if you don't have a partner, then hire a financial analyst or a good CPA, and someone that can really drill down. I know you're going to be talking with Mike Bledsoe and those guys and Shrug, and there's some good business coaching stuff that have basic dashboards and metrics and KPIs that is already built out for you that you can plug your numbers into, and it gives you a good reading of the financial health of the business.
Yeah, it goes a long way. So you've got one get out of business jail free card. So you're in a stump here, and you can make one phone call to anybody to give you business advice. Who are you calling?
I'd go back to my boy Richard, Branson. Hopefully he invites me down to Necker Island, and I can ask the question down there.
Oh, that'd be nice. So let's say John from Indiana gets asked this question. He says, I'm calling Aaron Hinde. I've been following him for years. He's given me inspiration. He's at a place where I was, or where I am currently. What advice are you giving him?
It depends on where he's at in his business.
He's just getting started, and let's say he's getting started and he's really fearful of diving in.
Yeah, I would say make sure that you have traction before you burn the ships at the shore. You have to burn the ships at the shore eventually, but have traction depending on where you're at. If I'm talking to a 20-year-old single guy, I say burn the ships and go for it. Yeah. Because what's the worst case scenario? You have to couch surf. I mean, who cares? I did that for years when I was in my teens and 20s.
When you have a family, it's a different story.
When you have a family, we burn the ships a little too early, and I put my family lean and mean, and you can listen to other podcasts to hear how lean it got. But I mean, mac and cheese and tuna, boiling water on the stove for bass, living in a 400 square foot RV with 2 kids for 5 years. I mean, it got lean. So I wouldn't recommend burning the ships until you at least have some traction. But when you do have traction, burn the ships, push your chips all in, have confidence that things will scale up. Focus on ATM, alignment, trajectory, momentum. Choose a single target market. Make sure you're accurate in your thinking. That's where so many people go wrong. It's like, okay, this. Timing's great, product's great. Oh, you're making major assumptions on the finances that are not accurate. You're making major assumptions around demand that aren't even close to reality. So you got to be accurately thinking about all those different aspects. I see it all the time where, 9 things out of 10 are spot on, but that one thing that's off will sink the entire business.
No, definitely. That'll go a long way. So, Aaron, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on the show. Congratulations on all your past success, and good luck going forward on all your endeavors with LifeAid.
Thanks, brother. It was fun. Appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you again for listening to this episode with Aaron Hinde on FitBiz Talk. If you want to follow Aaron, you can find him on Instagram at Aaron Hinde. Each of their products has their own Instagram profile, so just search for the product and you'll be sure to find it. If you're going to order from LifeAid, please use the code FitBizTalk to save $15 off on your next purchase. If you love the episode, please leave us a review, subscribe to the podcast. We've got another great episode coming up for you next week. Thank you very much.